Good morning again. Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another subject to you that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And this is going to be a pretty important video, I think. And I'm going to take apart the epidemic of child abuse, sexual child abuse in schools, with special emphasis, as usual in my videos. I like to connect it to something relevant and current. So, with that said, sexual abuse in schools is a problem. It's a very large problem. It's a common problem. And you hear about it in the news a lot. You hear about teachers getting in trouble. Very rarely you'll hear about students actually getting in trouble for assaulting teachers, but you got to think that that happens as well, which begs the question, what exactly is going on? I want to pause there just for a second, not the video, but the idea, and branch off to something historical in the entertainment business. This subject is not new. This has been an ongoing problem and opportunity for many, many, many years. In fact, there was a very popular band in the 80s called The Police. Coincidentally named, I don't know, maybe not. Sting was the front man of that band, and he famously wrote a song that has the lyrics, "Don't Stand So Close to Me," which is about a teacher and a student having a relationship, or considering having a relationship. And the prevailing message in the song is that teachers should, without any reservation, exercise 100% impulse control and refuse under any circumstances to cross lines with students. Okay, I'm not judging that. I'm not even going to comment on whether that's right or wrong. I'm going to say that, like, as usual, there's a bigger problem. First of all, I want to look at schools, the idea of schools that we have. This is going to be, hopefully, like I said, within 10 minutes, this video is going to cover a lot of territory. So schools, as we understand them here in America, are a requirement for K through 12 ages. That's kindergarten through the end of high school, 12th grade. And as a requirement, since it's so common that everybody is required, we don't think so much about this. What does that mean exactly? Requirement. Okay. Apart from the reasons why it is required, whether it's public or private school, it has to happen by law in, I think, the entire country. And when something is a requirement, anything, including schools and especially schools, you're creating a situation by design. The situation is that whoever is participating, that is students, and actually teachers too, because they have bills to pay, but that's a separate conversation. Students have no choice to be there, which creates, by way of design, by way of the requirement, a problem with consent. Okay. Now, most people don't dig this far into it. They don't think too hard about it. They just say, well, intuitively, I know they have to be there, so it's not proper. And you're right about that. It isn't proper once they are required to be there. But this should be a clue, right? It should be a clue about maybe there's a bigger problem. Maybe there's an opportunity that's being missed earlier on that's creating the secondary problem of consent and teacher-student relations that continues to be a big problem. And that is, schools don't have to earn anybody's business. Turns out, private schools maybe they do. Public schools, not so much. They pick up the slack. And most kids go to public school in this country. So if they don't have to earn your business, that is to say it's required by law, and if you don't believe me, try not going to school. You might, skip a few days. Your parents will get a call from the school, and I've actually talked to the schools recently about this, and it continues to be the system. You don't go to school, they start by calling you. Then it gets escalated to the authorities, and they pay you a visit. And if you still don't cooperate, there is a court order that is made on behalf of the children by the people of the state that you're in. And if you do not cooperate with that order, you will go to jail at gunpoint. Okay, so that's quite a few steps to the gun, but there's a gun in there. The end of that road, and you know there is one, leads to the gun again. So hang on. The route is complicated, but you end up with a gun in your face if you're not in that classroom. You or your parents, or both. So here's the problem. Let's be honest, this is the problem, that when teachers who are supervising and managing the classrooms locally with, obviously an administration above them, including a principal and a district and the state above them, giving them everything, all their material, their paychecks and everything, when those people are tasked to be normal and human and natural, and to not only do those things, but to be educational in a realistic human sense, realistic human tendencies are bound to emerge. Okay, now it's real easy to say, well, they just shouldn't. Oh, they just shouldn't, huh? Okay, well, they are, whether you like it or not. People are human, they're going to stay human. And the courts are filled with innocent people right now because nobody wants to actually call this out and say what the problem is. The problem is that the government, with their hands in legal education, legal requirements of education, as well as, while we're on the subject, legal requirements to pay taxes, which also don't have to earn your business, are acting inappropriately. Okay, and whether or not you agree that taxes should be optional and that education should have to be interesting enough to want to do it, those are facts. And the evidence I call is the courtrooms and the jails full of innocent teachers and students sometimes who are just doing the normal, natural thing. Consider the alternative. That a student decides of their own free will, and or their family, including their family probably, especially, to go to school because it's interesting and useful, because it's going to help them think independently, because it's going to help them become experienced and set up for success in life, because that's really the advertised purpose of going to school, not to, be indoctrinated, oriented towards paying taxes and following directions, because that's what it has become. And if we're being honest, on the same token, that's why it's required. It's not interesting. It doesn't help you. It helps the establishment. It helps separate young people from their parents so the parents can continue to work, while we're on the subject, and so that the young people can be oriented towards those jobs. In the interest of national security, in the interest of maintaining, if we're going to be completely honest, a giant, ridiculous defense budget. Come on now. Okay, so here's your problem. It's not complicated, and I'm still under 10 minutes. So because we're spending $10 trillion, no exaggeration, every decade, and increasing year over year on defense, for God knows what, your children are required at kindergarten to leave the house by law at gunpoint, so that they can sit in a classroom and pretend that they're not human and have teachers do the same thing. And if, God forbid, they act human, well, the gun shows up again. There you have it. It's not even complicated. So I feel bad. I feel bad for the students. I feel bad for the teachers who end up in jail with, sex abuse on their record, because that stuff never comes off. Now they're in a database. Now they're on an app. Now everybody with a phone knows where they are at all times. Is this okay? Is any of this okay? How do you feel about all this? But we're gonna keep paying bills. We're gonna keep not questioning, keep our heads down, because a good day here is the day when you don't get in trouble. A good day is the day you don't get shot, stabbed, or arrested here. And that's just good enough, I guess. Well, you get what you settle for. And I am just still under 10 minutes. I'm going to wrap up. If you have questions or comments, if you feel strongly about this, let me know. I think the schools should have to earn our business. I think that the government in all of its facets should have to earn our business. WhiteHotRobot@gmail.com. Thank you.